you ready to get started drawing Oogie Boogie? Yeah. All right. So we're going to start off with a circle. I would say a good size is about the size of a tennis ball or a baseball. We just want to go right in the middle of our page. I'm going to save some room on top and also room on the bottom. I'm going to keep this nice and light as I'm sketching it in, drawing all these light, loose lines. And usually it does pay off to have a good circle, but for him, it really doesn't matter because we're not going to see the circle by the end of this sketch. You want to add in a couple of guidelines though. These are going to be important. So this is going to be a stretched out C. You can see how we've created like this chunky crescent moon over here on the left. And I'm going to sir, I don't know if you were paying attention. We don't have them. SOL. You can always turn your paper over. Start again. All right. So now I have the stretched out U shape, so it looks like a beach ball. But of course we don't want a beach ball, we want Oogie Boogie. So this line right here that's going left to right, this is what's known as the eye line. So I'm going to place the eyes right here on top of this line. I'm going to add in this like curvy check mark shape. Over here on the other side of this guideline, this is where I'm going to add in another stretched out S. This is going to be a little bit more stretched out than this one. Now these are the first things that we're going to go back in and we're going to darken up so we can see a little bit more. And darkening up our shapes or locking in our shapes is just by making this line a whole lot darker so that we can see it pops forward against all the light lines. And this is exactly what we want from a rough sketch. Rough sketching is not going to be perfect. It's not going to look like a clean, perfect drawing like how you see it sold in like the stores or how you see it on like hoodies or merchandise. No, this is meant to be a little bit messy, so don't be afraid of the mess. Now I'm going to add in these big stretched out C's. Over here on the left, it's going to be more of like a skinny little C. But what you've just sketched in are his evil eyes. So I'm going to go back in, I'm going to shade in these eyes nice and dark because I want all the focus to be right here to the eyes. And also he doesn't have any pupils just like Jack. A lot of the characters just have like empty eye sockets. Kind of makes them a little spookier in some ways. But in some cases not. They make it kind of look a little cuter. Now up here at the top, this is where we're going to start to build up his eyebrow. It's kind of boxy. It's a little boxy here. So you can see I kind of almost added this almost like a boxy hook shape. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side, except this one's going to look almost like a letter L. Kind of follow the curve of the eyebrow here just a little bit. But where these eyebrows are and where they kind of meet here, this is where we're going to draw in a couple of J shapes so we can start to draw in the smile. So this one over here is going to be a backwards J, and this one over here is going to be a regular J. Now The Nightmare Before Christmas, before it was ever a film, it was a poem. And in the poem there are only 3 named characters. So I want to test all of you in your Nightmare Before Christmas trilogy. Does anyone know who those 3 characters are? Jack Skellington for sure. It's his mid-death crisis. Zero, yes, it's Zero. And not Sally, but Santa Claus. Yes, I heard the 3rd one. So all the other characters, first of all, I think Sally is one of the best ones. So I agree that I'm so glad she was added into the film. But the other ones like Oogie Boogie, the mayor, even Sally, they were all added to the film just to kind of extend and kind of show a little bit more depth into the story. Now Oogie Boogie was originally going to be Finkelstein in disguise. He wasn't even going to be his own villain. He was going to be revealed that it was Finkelstein kind of pulling the strings all along. But as you know, Oogie Boogie, he's full of bugs. He's just a bunch of bugs in a sack. And just looks like burlap sack type of thing. In fact, rumor has it, legend goes, that the bugs from Bugs Land all now live with Oogie Boogie. Because they had no other home to go to. It's sad. I know, it's kind of sad, but it's okay. I'm sure they're fine. Sure they're living it up. I'm sure they have like their own little cul-de-sac inside his gut somewhere, I don't know. Now as you can see, I drew in this kind of curvy, kind of wiggly line for his upper lip. But for the lower portion, because I want to show him laughing, like he's like, evil, because he is. He's very evil. He gambles very evilly. So I'm going to add in this stretched out U shape down here towards the bottom, kind of creates like this lemon slice. But just like this upper lip here, you kind of want to add in more of like wiggles. So more of like the stretched out S's. And you can get a little bit more crazy when it comes to the lower lip, because this is what kind of like rolls around as he like laughs maniacally. So just something to keep in mind. It doesn't have to be, but I am following kind of like the curve of what I've created to create that like nice like negative space in there for the smile. Does anyone remember what his tongue is though? Yeah, it is a snake. So you can add in the snake tongue if you'd like to. You can draw in some bugs kind of peeking out over here. But you know, for me, I'm just going to shade it in just to kind of showcase that, hey, this is just a negative, empty space. It's not the entrance to the multiverse. It's not the entrance to like Valentine's land. It's just the back of Oogie Boogie's mouth. Now we want to copy that same shape just to show some thickness to the lip. So this is kind of showing this same type of line, just kind of pulling this forward a little bit more. Like you got some fill-ins, like get a little bit crazy with this one. But once we have this, we're going to be about halfway done with our sketches of Oogie Boogie. I'm going to give you all a chance to at least catch up to this point. But overall, how are we doing so far? Okay. Oh, this guy is really, sir, I don't know, are you hearing me when there's no eraser here? Man, you may need a churro after this, I'm telling you. Like, that's up to you, but remember, keep it at Disneyland because, yeah, security will kick you out if you're one more interrupted. Anyway, going back to the task at hand, are y'all having fun? Yes. All right, if anything, you're having a blast, so that's all that I care about, making sure that you're having fun. Now, you don't have Oogie Boogie, you have this weird kind of mask on your page right now, so we're going to add in more of the details to make it look more like Oogie Boogie. Part of what makes him look so intimidating is that he's very big, like he's just fluffy in a way, fluffy with bugs. So I'm going to add in these big shoulders for him, kind of pulling here from the side, so that he looks like he's leaning forward. He's ready to make a deal with you. He's ready to sell you a car. Oh, sorry for any car salesmen in the room, but it's real. I'm going to lock in this small little curve right here of the circle, because I want to bring that forward. But one of the things I've noticed watching The Nightmare Before Christmas year after year is that, you know, Oogie Boogie reminds me a lot of Santa Claus. In fact, there's a scene with both of them together in which he's singing his Oogie Boogie song. But he is, again, very jolly. He even has almost like these folds here by the front of his jawline that kind of look like a beard in a way. But this is just, again, showing that he's got fabric that kind of moves around as he talks. But the other thing that makes him and reminds me a lot of like Oogie Boogie, or like, sorry, not Oogie Boogie, Santa Claus, is that he's got this like Santa hat almost at the very top of his head. So you can see I'm adding in this like stretched out upside down letter L. And then I'm going to pull and kind of create almost like this boxy rainbow going above his head, leaning over to the left. At the end here, it kind of looks like a little pizza slice, but again, think of it like Santa Claus's hat. It's very much like wider where it connects to his head and kind of narrows to this point here. But instead of having a poof ball at the end, very Oogie Boogie fashion, he actually has a spider that sometimes comes out the front here. So you can even add in this little line that's kind of pulling downward, and then I'll draw in this little circle. I'll add in a smaller circle, so it's like an upside down letter 8. And then we can draw in some spider legs, kind of pull in here, kind of makes him look a little spooky. Now the final thing to draw in for Oogie Boogie, because he almost looks like he's missing something, right? Something that makes him look a little bit more like himself. And part of it is that he's a burlap sack, but he's sewn together. So he's got stitches and he's got seam lines. Where the seam lines are very important. So he's got a seam line up here by where that Santa Claus hat is, or that that pointy portion starts. So I'm just gonna follow the curve here, kind of add in another line. But I'm also gonna draw in some kind of like wavy, almost like broken lines here, coming from his shoulders. And at first it looks like it's too much. But what we're going to do is once you have these lines sketched in, you want to draw in stitches on top of these lines. So this is like random lines, random X's that look a little too long. Remember, he's not a Prada bag, so you don't have to worry about him being like perfectly stitched up. The stitches almost look very hasty, like he had to act very quickly to put himself back together. But this is what's going to make him look a little bit more like himself. Now he also has these stitches along his mouth. And this is what I personally think is like It's not a real fact of Oogie Boogie, but it's just what I like to think, because in the film, they showcase that there is one bug that kind of represents Oogie Boogie's thoughts and his actions. It's like the master bug, I don't know, in a way. But this bug, I feel like, uses the stitches on his mouth to control how Oogie Boogie talks. That's personally what I think. I think this is like a headcanon for me. It's not real, so don't go over there on TikTok and be like, did you know that Oogie Boogie? It's like, I'm gonna call you out so fast, so I'm gonna find it and be like, listen, I said this first. But anyway, these lines are just kind of like C shapes that go up and down, because again, there's stitches that kind of pull from there to help to showcase a little bit more. It makes them look a little bit more spooky. Now, I like to finish off my sketch just by adding in a little bit of texture. So this is where you're gonna draw in like little cross-hatching, little like checkerboards. You can draw these over here by the top where the burlap sack starts. You can draw them on his forehead. You can even draw them over here by the sides. Just kind of adds a little bit more to him. But now that you're done, really the final and last thing left to do is just to find a good spot somewhere next to your Oogie Boogie Man. And just don't forget to sign your name.